Okay, Avogadro's number is a really useful tool for, um, having a number that is reasonable that we can use to get sample sizes that we can talk about their masses. But a mole is this nice, reasonable sample size that we can have 12 grams of carbon in the lab, and it's a reasonable, nice amount. But it has what feels like an unreasonable number of particles. 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd is a whole lot of particles. And so it can be tricky to figure out how to deal with Avogadro's number on your calculator. So the purpose of this video is to get you some calculator help when using Avogadro's number, that 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. It can seem huge and kind of hard to deal with. And so it's great because if we have a whole bunch of particles like that, we can have a reasonable sample size in the lab, like a mole of carbon is about 12 grams, but it's hard to deal with the math. So let's try one example again and then talk about exactly how to use our calculator to calculate the answer. So we have this problem. A gold necklace contains 3.7 times 10 to the 22nd atoms. So we would write down our known. It's got 3.7 times 10 to the 22, and that's its particles. And we'll put that over 1. And we want to get to moles. Well, we need to bring down the particles, atoms, and we want to get to mole. And we know that in every 1 mole, there are 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd particles. Atoms, if it's an element, molecules, if it's a compound, and so on. The trouble is putting this in our calculator. So what we need in the numerator is 3.7 times 10 to the 22nd. And in the denominator, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. We need all of that to get in the denominator, so we need parentheses around the denominator. A lot of students find it helpful to just put parentheses around the whole numerator and parentheses around the whole denominator because that makes the calculation sometimes a little bit easier. When we do all that, we're supposed to get 0.061 moles. Let's check out a calculator and see if we can get that same answer. Okay, so here is our example calculator. Let's see if we can show this same calculation. So we need 3.7 times 10 to the 22nd on the numerator and 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd on our denominator. Okay, so how do we make that happen? I said most students like to start with a parentheses in their numerator even. So let's do 3.7 times, and I'm going to do 10 raised to the power. That's just what I like to do. I like to put in the 10 and then do y to the x because that lets you put the number you want as your base and then put your 22nd. And I just think then I know exactly what I'm doing. And this 3.7 and the 22 means 3.7 times 10 to the 22nd power. Okay, and then I'm going to go divide by, and I'm going to do a parentheses, and I'm going to do 6.022 times, and I'm going to do 10, and I'm going to do y to the x. So I'm going to do 10 to the 23rd. I'm going to put in parentheses, and then when I hit enter, 0.061.